So, we've been at the beginning of the end for a couple of weeks now, and by beginning of the end, I mean the end of Siege before Siege X rolls in and shatters our expectations for what competitive Siege is meant to look like. We're almost there. We're almost at the end of the group stage that's all wrapping up this weekend, and then we get into playoffs and elimination action, and you know what, it's not going to matter too much because it's still Tier 3, and it's still madness down here, but it's about to be a lot of fun. Welcome back to the finale. I'm Jacob, he's High Bear, and we end the XGS division today, my friend, because QOR have already punched their ticket. They're the #1 seed. But we still have a couple things that we need to shake out over the next couple of games today. So first off, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, Jacob. Happy to be here. Excited to be on broadcast with you. But yeah, you and I were going to be taking the game between HAKIKIMORI and QOR Academy. For the uninitiated, these are both teams who have changed their names recently, both picked up by their respective orgs within the last week, I believe. I think last week they were actually playing under different names. And it's a match today, Jacob. We're seeing them face off for that second place spot. So there are some serious stakes on this game. The winner, if they win 2-0, guaranteed to lock themselves into that lower bracket come playoffs.
So the best thing you could hope for right now is a 2-0 victory in this matchup, and then suddenly you're not concerning yourselves with the play-in. You're skipping more best of ones and best of threes as a means of getting into playoffs in the first place. If you are the #2 seed in your division, then you're all set and you get to skip the next couple of games over the next couple of days. And if you were to lose by really any margin, then suddenly you're put into a position where you have to play even more games to make playoffs. But if you're sore, you're trying to stay alive right now, because at this moment, Freezer forfeited their last game. They have nothing left to play. They just gave QOR more points for free. They've locked in the #1 seed. Soar and Space Tubes have already had a lot of back and forth with various other teams. They will be playing later on today as a means of trying to get more points. But at this point, it really just is seeding. But that #2 seed is ultimately the single most important thing that you could fight for. And for HAKIKIMORI, they have had a great stage so far. But for QOR Academy, especially after getting signed by QOR just a couple of days ago, it's been a little bit more up and down so far.
They're a good group of guys, and I do believe in the team, and I do have confidence in them, like, coming out today, bringing the energy, being ready to play. And as we get into the rosters in a moment, I think that I did have a little bit of a note from our production side that they, on the side of HAKIKIMORI, they are actually playing with a substitute. You see Bay subbing in from Wildcard, from the NA League, that T1 player, and he is playing as a replacement for Mr. B, the IGL of this HAKIKIMORI roster, which could be a little bit of a difficulty for them. You do sub in a strong player, but without that leadership voice, could cause some problems for the roster.
Ultimately, if Mr. B is not able to make it, probably not the biggest deal in the world, considering they are 3-1 up. There's not a chance that they can get eliminated. It's just a matter of whether they'll have more games to play if they were to lose this series to QOR Academy. But yeah, to not have Mr. B on the lobby certainly is interesting, and it also does make the bans, when they come up later, a little more unpredictable, because if Mr. B is not the one doing them and locking them in, we're not totally sure if he is or not, then the way that the series will play out is about to be drastically different. So it's not Mr. B, it's Mr. Bay. But for QOR Academy, slightly different story. They are 2-2. They have a little bit more work they still have to do in a couple games that haven't slid their way so far. They won their first, lost their second, won their third, lost their fourth, and the one game that they've played thus far under QOR Academy, they lost. So the new org curse is still very much alive and well so far.
Chance to break it here tonight, and honestly a good opportunity. Playing against HAKIKIMORI without their IGL, I mean, we all know Mr. B is a primary voice on that roster. He helps out a ton in organizing the teams that he plays for, to the point where they're often just referred to as Mr. B's teams. I mean, the Revelations roster, when it was playing through the qualification for Pro League, it's Mr. B's roster. It's his team that he's trying to lead to be able to get into Pro League. Now, going into the T3 tournaments, the stakes aren't quite as high, but still, he's the big voice. He's the one who is taking his team, leading them to these victories. Without him in the lobby, I do think QOR Academy have a better shot today than they might have last week.
The thing is, the bans are also going to be super pivotal, because QOR Academy are 12-1 on Chalet, only having lost it one time so far over the last couple months with this specific 5-stack. The team that played in both qualifiers to get to the finale and through the finale so far have only lost it one time, but HAKIKIMORI is the team to pick it against QOR Academy. They've decided, and this looked like an ego shell the second that I saw this one come up.
Yeah.
Something about this seems interesting. For HAKIKIMORI, for really any of Mr. B's squad so far, they're not a bad team on Chalet, but this definitely looks like they're trying to take QOR to a map that they're super comfortable with. But the one time they played it recently was against Shubes in just their last game not too long ago, and it was a 7-5, and it was the first time they'd lost it over the course of the past several weeks. So the first one is interesting. The second map for QOR Academy is Lair. They're 4-1 on it with the same roster. So both of these first two maps are looking really good. I imagine they're looking at this veto and licking their chops, but it does make me curious if over those first two maps there's a plan that HAKIKIMORI have to dial this in before we even have to worry about the third map.
My big thing I'd be looking at here, Jacob, is the idea of counter-stratting your opponents. If HAKIKIMORI have lots of tape on the QOR Academy boys, if they know how they approach Chalet, this could be a great opportunity for them to steal away a map that QOR Academy is usually very comfortable on. And knowing HAKIKIMORI, knowing the players involved, they've definitely got the mentality to be able to implement that sort of idea, to do the counter-stratting, to pick up some of the ideas that QOR Academy are comfortable with, some of their tendencies, work around them, and use those to give themselves the biggest advantage going into that first map.
Now, ultimately, for Chalet, the reason that they are 12-1 is because when you play in open qualifiers, you typically play the same map over and over again. That was the case for QOR Academy when they played as underagers. It was a ton of Consulate in the beginning of Qualifier 1, and then Chalet on Chalet on Chalet over and over and over again. So even though they might be 12-1, there's probably only 2 or 3 Chalet maps total that there would be any film that HAKIKIMORI could use against them in this one. But it's still something interesting to see that HAKIKIMORI have gone for Chalet, knowing, or perhaps even not knowing, that it's a map that this underage team really, really likes. Let's get into it. It's HAKIKIMORI and QOR Academy in their last games of the group stage of the XGS division before we head to playoffs. Somebody's got to get that number 2 seed, and somebody will have to go back to the play-in and do a little bit more work before they get playoffs for themselves.
Starting things off with the classic, the Blackbeard band, taken off the board right away. Strong operator on all maps, really. But this map in particular, your shields are very powerful for being able to take cross on Chalet, use the protection of those shields to be able to force defenders back, really just kind of launch yourself into the building. So no surprise seeing that one gone. Doke, another powerful operator. Her being taken off the board, not a surprise. And Valk as well. With all the soft floors on Chalet, I mean, what else do you expect?
Valk still remains one of the more banned defenders. If it's not a zombie for second defensive ban, it'll make things a little interesting. But no, it's the Mira. So Valk and Mira, the second and third most banned defenders on Chalet since November up until this point, including CJX bans. And the zombie still up, which means QOR Academy will have the ability to be super flexible on defense. The one thing that they have had, though, that's been a slight thorn in their side has been defenses across really any map, but on Chalet in particular, sometimes it feels like there's some things that slips through the cracks. They had a much better attacking side against Space Shubes when they lost this map only a couple of days ago, but it was on defense where some things were a little bit overlooked, some positions were overextended, and that's the sort of thing that a team like HAKIKIMORI, with their amount of experience and guys who are currently in Tier 1 or have been in Tier 1 before, they absolutely can exploit. So we're going to need to look at how well they adapt on this first half, and if they want to use a zombie to their advantage, they totally can. Only one shield ban does make things a little more interesting, mostly because Blackbeard being the super hyper powerful one, still the third most banned shield operator, because Blitz and Monty still have the most overall ban percentage. Taking a Dokubi off is completely sensical, but you're leaving both of the most popular shields on Chalet available and open for a team that has way more experience, and it makes me wonder how this first half is going to go as a result.
I will say, I do know and have been in contact, like friends with a lot of the QOR Academy guys for years at this point, and some of them are pretty scary on those shields. The Blitz in particular, Scary loves hopping on that Blitz, in my experience, and he is difficult to kill, very effective with that operator. So I would be shocked to see them pulling those out and trying to make some impact using the shields throughout the day today. Do have a little bit of a tech pause here. We're just going to be waiting through for a moment as we figure out what's going on and get into game. The only thing we really have seen as of now are those operator bans, so forgive us if we do a little bit more discussion of them. The Mira was an interesting one for me, Jacob. I know there are definitely some positions on Chalet where she is incredibly effective. I think the basement wall looking in towards garage, over on mezzanine to be able to deny library take, spots like that. But I don't think she's quite as powerful as she has been historically, especially given some of the other extremely powerful ops we currently have in the meta.
Could be a non-factor. Ultimately, it's more about the operators that you're leaving up, because Mira is now off the board for not opting for a zombie, at least initially, which, to be fair, could end up... I mean, we were in a bit of a zombie renaissance for a couple months there. I think there might be some teams that decide, we already know what's upcoming in CGX, so do we want to keep on playing to the things that are active to the current builds meta, or are we about to start making some shifts and not consider ourselves as operators that usually see as much play as they do on the current patch? It's one of those things when you know what's coming up, you've played the upcoming test server, you have to ask yourself, are we going to stick with what the current build provides us, or are we about to start adapting so that when the new patch does come in and replaces the current one, that we're ready for it? It's just one of those questions you have to ask yourself, and we are firmly in that zone right now with CGX, only about 2 weeks away.
Yeah, it's coming up. So these teams, they will have been scrimming that test server. They'll have had plenty of opportunities to get involved and try things out. Getting into this round, looks like a library take starting off on this kitchen defense, with HAKIKIMORI starting to work their way in towards that position, just generally surrounding the map, starting to push these players back. Though I noticed QOR not really opting to contest the space, and HAKIKIMORI taking a second to really make sure that there's nobody over there trying to stop them from getting in.
Only kept a couple of defenders in offside positions, and might be lucky encountering an Ash upstairs for first engagement because he's opted to hold on to Office for all he's worth and keep Breach from coming open. But there hasn't been any hard breach. No, I think it actually has gone downstairs because he's keeping the upper wall closed. So even if you were to get kitchen wall open itself, if you keep Office wall shut, you're going to have a lot harder of a time actually executing when time comes because vertical pressure cannot be applied from that point. Looks like the answer to that might be HAKIKIMORI getting a nook in play and trying to take somebody out of a position where they don't expect it. But again, still no HP trade. TPL up here, continues to do his job. Only one half of a Selma so far, and I think that Nitro, if it didn't get shot, might have also blown some more Selmas off. Nope. They're still going on the wall.
Stopped by the freeze for a moment, so he wasn't able to detonate it. As they start to open up this wall, they start to take away some of the space that Lucky has to play with. Backing up, just shooting some drones, taking his time, and playing around the position, not wanting to give HAKIKIMORI anything. He's got his teammates for support so they can hold his choke points. He just needs to keep himself alive, maintain his position so he is the focus of these attackers' attention. Hiding in this corner for as long as he can, keeping himself alive is imperative in this position. He's doing so well to delay this time.
HAKIKIMORI can at least start putting some pressure if it's not worried about flanks, but they do have to have something going for them even if they don't have top floor controls just yet. They're still waiting for it. Like he's still in that position, might have been a chance for Vil, and I think he's got something. Still nothing left. Lucky is holding on for dear life, and they finally just decide, you know what, we'll push balcony at the same time as we use the vertical pressure against him. But the first kill comes with only 40 seconds left, and now Core Academy can swarm and wait for HAKIKIMORI to come to them. But Bay's got an answer back. Adept is pretty far away from sight. There's only 2 defenders left, and one of them still happens to be a Solus, which is going to be great for trying to stop the plant. 20 seconds to go. Vil grabs another, and Adept is fallen from the opposite side. So now Scary and Kaysen. Do they have enough in these last couple of seconds? Kaysen opens up with 2 big ones, and he's still upstairs, and he can make the drop now. Diffuser's on the ground. Suddenly, Bay is now fallen, and Kento's got everything to do. Kaysen upstairs makes the drop and finds all 3 in rapid succession. That's a great opening for Chalet.
Out of nowhere, around that looked like it was going HAKIKIMORI all the way off the back of an excellent play to be able to clear out the half wall inside of Office using the Deimos, using the Ash down below, while proning under the breach, getting rid of that Tubarao in the forward position. But then they decide to go for broke up top. They send it the whole way across the top floor. They take fights with the defenders, and in the man advantage, Kason goes huge. He manages to pick up 3, like you say. One's a wall bang, in all fairness. I mean, what do you even do? At that point, getting shot through the bathroom wall, through the window. Sometimes it happens, but still, excellent play out of him to be able to turn that around. And then Core Academy, they group up, they play together, they hold that final choke point, knowing the last attacker has to push in 45. There's nowhere else they can go. Gotta force it. Core Academy, they take round 1.
Kaysen warmed up for that exact thing earlier. I had his stream pulled open for a couple hours before the game started. He was playing Warden SMG11 wall banging people on Cafe and got a 4K in 1 round. I'm like, all right, cool. He's already there. People in ranked aren't going to play the same way that they're going to play in a tier 3 league, but whenever he has to make plays like that, it turns out he absolutely can. And it's not the first time we've seen him play this way over the course of the finale, but yep, he's warmed up. He's ready to go. A good 3-piece for Core. When it looked like they had done a really good job stalling for time, HAKIKIMORI had a man count in their favor, but they just let it slip away, all by the actions of one player and a lot of vertical control that still had not been acquired by the time they were trying to go for that execute.
A bit of a spawn peek here, over towards the bath window. Scary trying to get a little cheeky, see if he can find something. Vigil over in this position is dangerous. Can't really be droned, even if they send a couple of drones over. Simply activate that gadget, but he does opt to give up the space, not stay too long, playing a bit closer to his teammate Kason over towards Library so that they can work off each other and just look to cause problems in the HAKIKIMORI attack as they start this frontside take. A bit of a slow entry once again. Last round, they didn't really get into the map until over a minute into the round, and this round, it looks like it will be more of the same. Kento seems to be that main point of ingress, playing the Deimos, looking to entry towards office.
Scary and Kason can stall for time upstairs. Haven't given themselves any utility up top, knowing that their role is just stall, rather than hold this crazy position on suicide. Kason is the first frag, and now Library can be taken by HAKIKIMORI unless Scary opts to not surrender Mez control. Even if he doesn't, honestly, I don't mind the play. Stick back in a corner, make sure that your opportunity to rotate is not now, but it does look like he's moved away from Mez on back down Library stairs. Or at least that's what that orange silhouette looks like. Yep, he's opted. Nope, the Mez window's not for me. So I head back to Library. Maybe if someone comes in on that side, he can get one quick pop-up. Maybe a head glitch on top of the stairs and then move back away. But instead, he opts to go back on the inside, but there's still someone watching it. I'm not really sure if full sprinting out the hallway was a good idea. And there's another player upstairs trying to help, but instead, it's not going to work out. Darn's been downed. That's soapy for anyone not keeping count at home. And Adept and Vilt grabs one. No, all he does is finish him off. So suddenly Adept has to hold off 4 players, and he's got 50 seconds, but already Plant's going down.
A little bit of a likely unwinnable situation here for Adept. He does get the first. Nice little headshot onto Vil. Bit of a over-aggression out of the twitch there as he continues to press forward, but the case has been stuck. Bomb is down, and this retake is incredibly difficult. You need to hit a couple miracle shots, but he's just given away his position. Those shots ringing off towards Fridge. He jiggles around. Hashom peeks, trying to catch a headshot, but the elbow peeks out, takes a ton of damage before Bay manages to finally take him down. Not really too much going on in that situation there. And yeah, end of the round. It's all HAKIKIMORI.
I mean, 2 roamers upstairs, you clear Kason immediately. Vigil's not there to help with said engagement, and then suddenly I'm still trying to figure out exactly how Soapy died cross-map, or he either wasn't cross-map or he was on site because Flores was probably working on making sure that he could get basement and then use the Flores drone to just finish him off after he downed him the first time. But a lot of roam pressure upstairs. It felt like there was one orange silhouette after another that was in a position to help and then just got the timing wrong overall. So HAKIKIMORI are able to get a bunch of 1v1s going their direction. Core Academy just let one body after one another just keep on falling, and ultimately HAKIKIMORI can get an easy cleanup. Perfect execute through Big Garage to make sure that they get Plant down, and there's ultimately nothing that the last remaining defender can do. It's pretty textbook overall. You can try to find analysis points, but sometimes it really just is that simple.
I will say, I like the idea that Core Academy had, playing upstairs, using the Solus plus Vigil to combo roam, do all the work in terms of denying drones, but it just felt like they were playing a bit too spread apart. Kason dying, peeking one of the windows in Library. I didn't catch which one, but goes down early. And that kind of leaves Scary all alone. He opts to fall back, but then he decides to go back up, and he just, a great hold out of Kento, I believe it was, to shut him down, that Deimos upstairs inside of office. Just simply holding, waiting, expecting the aggression. I think that aggression, those roam extensions can work very well, but Core Academy, they gotta be closer together. Otherwise, if they're dropping bodies, they won't have anyone in positions to trade, and HAKIKIMORI will simply punish them for it.
More grab ascends. Figuring out where on the execute's going to be interesting. If you want to use a library window to try to hop in quickly, you probably can. You've got flank watch options too with gridlock on the board. So, if only from op selection alone, you're the take for HAKIKIMORI is about to be intriguing to me. Combination of intel to flank watch to execute. It's mostly intel at this point, especially if you're really concerned about trying to isolate. But you do know that if you're playing a game's defense, it's about to be 2 or 3 players up in Library. They know that. They're just making sure that any off-site positions don't have anybody lurking in a back corner, because so far Core Academy have shown that they're willing to play that way. But right now, minute to go. Or sorry, minute gone. Only a couple of drones in. Haven't used line scans so far. Just waiting for an opportunity to push somebody into a bad spot. And for Core Academy, they're just waiting for HAKIKIMORI to come to them.
Here comes the lurk out of Kento. Not spotted yet on this knock position. Very likely unknown. Can do a lot of damage here if he manages to time this right. Right now, just gonna bide his time, spend a moment waiting for the rest of his team to continue their take upstairs. They've got the sense here, I imagine, likely to be used to be able to cross that blue hall and and go fight towards Mez, but the entry, Kento finding it, Yeleki completely unaware, and the nades come through, clearing out the shield, the sense wall out. Broken down for a moment, but the flank of the walk up blue stairs, shooting him in the back as well. And then a second one for Vil, as he continues to press forward onto the mezzanine player. Suddenly it's just Darnelius and Scary. Last two alive, Scary will drop Darnelius last alive in this library corner. Usually the point of contact, but he'll be the last alive, taken down by Vil, who just stormed his way up blue stairs, picking off every single component of that top floor defense.
Yeah, why worry about trying to burn a bunch of Vigor ADSs in the suicide spot when you can prioritize getting library stairs first, and then a ton of intel and misdirection, and everybody on defense has no idea where they're supposed to be looking. They're like, wait, hold on. We got the first frag, but from where? Oh, it's Nook, but from what spot? And then suddenly Library Stairs has to back away. They get naded out. Lion Scan spots them immediately. He just rushes up the stairs. Then Ascend's wall comes in and makes everything even more chaotic, and Lion is still sprinting back up Library Stairs. And as soon as someone tries to at least look in that direction to help, that's where the 417 from the Lion is planted pretty perfectly at that point. So everything is working really good for this HAKIKIMORI attack. It was the one big weakness I was looking at for Core so far. Their big problem, either as underagers or under Core Academy so far, has just been the way that they defend. On Chalet, it's still a little bit more difficult, but this is a map that they like, and if they want to avoid dropping this map 2 times over the span of the same 3 days, then they need to make sure the rest of this half goes better than it's currently going.
That was an insane play out of Vil to walk up blue stairs like that, just in the thick of the defense out of Core Academy. The fact he was able to find that much impact, like 1 kill is bad enough, but the fact he was able to find 3, for me, that's unbelievable. And it really goes to show how good the distraction from the rest of the team was. Tossing in those sense walls, tossing in grenades, the knockover towards 45. I mean, everything in that round was set up to make that as easy as possible for Vil to be able to capitalize. He absolutely takes advantage of it. More fights coming through here at the start of this round. Scary,
you're
does
not
want to stop
You're just not
peeking.
hitting that.
Over and over again, tapping towards main door. Takes a little bit of damage. That seems to be a bit of a theme for Scary in this game, off the start of the rounds. I haven't seen this dude on full HP, I think, a single time yet, Jacob.
No, it's true. He's always taking a little bit of chip damage on a roam. And, you know, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But so far, he's only got the 1 frag, so maybe stick closer to sight, or play alert position, or don't get super crazy. I don't know. You'll figure it out.
You cannot rein in Scary. It's just not an option.
Yeah,
that's the give and take of these sorts of players. Aggressive, they get in your face, but you know what? You have to take it sometimes, because the good comes with the bad.
Still vertical play up here. Core Academy were doing a really good job denying it at the start of the game when they played the same side in round 1. A little bit different for HAKIKIMORI. At this point, even still knowing that Lucky's going to be playing in the same spot that he was 3 rounds ago, already prioritizing not dedicated hard breach, just bringing can openers to try and open the wall, and they've got 4 of them, so they more than likely can outlast. Even if he's got the ability to keep that wall closed for a long time, he will stick up here for as long as possible. Now he makes the fall back off. He's willing to surrender that space, but only because Adept is here, willing to work over the same space with him down the hallway. But the wall itself now finally gets open, space can get cleared. HAKIKIMORI, already this attack is going much better than it did in round 1.
It's really interesting to me to see Core give up this top floor space, not contesting office at all. This is a completely different methodology than we saw last round, the last time they defended Kitchen. And to be fair, they were punished for it. There's nobody office. They have already done, HAKIKIMORI have already done the hard work in clearing out the space, the vertical play, which can deny a plant inside of dining. And with the sense that they can toss in through West Main, this could look to get very dangerous for Core Academy unless they can find a good way to answer this inevitable plant attempts.
Everybody on vertical pressure, just continuing to hold on to what they've got. Now they opt to fall back. It's the Legion and the 2 Burrell as a 1-2 combo going down Solar. Maybe they can get one more drone or an exit kill in this position. They can still trade off one another, but now HAKIKIMORI have to use the Yings to try and stall for as long as possible, or at least get the plant down, but it's not quite working out. Kason will grab one, but Lucky does get down, but you haven't done anything to clear the Solar pressure, and you have an ACOG all the way back in that position to stop anyone from planting if you were to get through the wall. Babe will equalize, but time is dwindling very quickly. You can only pursue these guys for so long. Might W's got Case, but you still haven't cleared out Solar. It's all going to hell. Diffuser's been down. Bay's got to do everything himself. The one guy on a Pro League team, he'll have to storm upstairs and try to figure out where Soapy's gone to, but he's already left. Nothing you can do in that position. At Core Academy, they've won both kitchen defenses pretty well.
I don't like this take that HAKIKIMORI is going for, clearing the whole way across top floor in a situation where, to me, it doesn't really seem like they need to. You have execute utility, you can toss in those sense walls, You can block off the line of sights that Core are going to be playing from deep kitchen from over towards Trophy and simply walk in and go for a plant. They've got one C4 they're bringing along, like whoop-de-doo. Dodge that one C4, plant goes down, and then it's easy to hold for the rest of the round. I'm a little confused with the full top clear. It hasn't worked for them either time that they've gone for that site, but still, they've gotten a couple attacking rounds. It's definitely not the end of the world for HAKIKIMORI. I'm just left a little bit wondering why that was the approach both times on that site.
I mean, they definitely had attacking utility to try and mask a plant, but they still were like, you know what, 4 can openers, we'll make sure that we get the wall. And they got it, I think, with about a minute 20 left, as opposed to only having a little sliver of it open around the same time back in round 1. So there might have been gradual improvement on those takes. They decided they still wanted to do it, but it was just not a lot of time. They haven't opted to be aggressive with trying to clear these positions out. And Core Academy are dedicated to sticking on these points for as long as they need to. And as long as they've got a 2-man game upstairs, if you can play that pick and roll really well, like a Jokic and a Murray, then suddenly you're not really in a position to stop them because they will stay up there as long as there are 2 people alive. And Core Academy didn't fall back until, what, about 40 seconds left on defense? And then suddenly Solar still had a position that you couldn't get cleared. You left a castle up there. He won every gunfight, even though he might have had low ground on the stairs and had an ACOG up in the event that somebody was going to peek through the breach. So yeah, for Core Academy, worked out really well. HAKIKIMORI just didn't pressure it.
Completely different take this time for HAKIKIMORI. They were successful with their little lurk play towards blue stairs last time they approached this site, but this time, bring along 1-2 shields, Jacob, and all sorts of smoke grenades, fires, looking to turn Library into an absolute hellhole. Feel bad for Darnelius in this corner, because there's not much he's going to be able to do in just a moment's time as he sits here waiting for the inevitable flames to be shot in.
Godspeed, Soapy. Was nice knowing you. Might not know whether the Goyo fire or the fire belongs to the Goyo or the Capital, but we're about to find out real quick. And you can't bring a Jaeger to try and stop those because that's not on this patch. That's on Siege X patch, so you have to hold Suicide the normal way for right now. Adept has at least found out where the Monty is coming up the staircase, so there's pressure from one side, but again, HAKIKIMORI have not really cleared Library that quickly, and Mike W takes a lot of damage from that side, and then Scary's got the flank and does down the Monty, and suddenly you have to deal with the Blitz, and Adept is still top of the staircase. He'll grab both of them, but now Library has been surrendered. They've got Suicide control, but Darnelius, that's Soapy for anyone not keeping count at home, he's already left, so there's still 4 defenders up, and HAKIKIMORI, it took a lot of time and both shield ops to get that position.
And they've made their way to safety. I mean, sure, if you're HAKIKIMORI, you've still got some of that execute utility. You've got firebolts for backbar stock. You've got smoke grenades for the drop. But you're down numbers. And that's a very bad result when you have all the tools to be able to clear a Library. And things just continue to get worse. A C4 tossed out, traded by Vil from that rappel outside of front door. Manages to get 1 back. The advantage still lies on the side of Core Academy, and they can simply wait for this execute to come through. A little bit of time to work with. 1 drone in the pocket of Vil you can use at any time to try and spot out one of these players. You're gonna have to coordinate. They're gonna have to work together to try and collapse on these last few.
So at the very top of Library stairs they are, but Kaysen, SMG-12 Warrior, grabs Vil, and his teammate is just not with him. They were both top Library stairs for a hot second, but Bale used both smokes to just clear bar stock. He's just waiting for someone to come back up to him.
Scary.
There's the Goya. Not a terrible option for a play, but it is Bay, so he's probably going to win that gunfight regardless. So Soapy and Kaysen will just have to stall him as soon as he gets inside. Barstock did get smoked, but it didn't get cleared, so Bay should at least be aware that there's someone on that side. And nope, the wall is still reinforced and nobody broke it and knew what he was looking for. So he'll come in, he'll grab the Warden. Does he have the ability to win the 1v1? It's him against Soapy. He's got the longer scope, and that's the reason he went to Rio and almost won the damn thing. HAKIKIMORI, the super sub, comes in, and now they've got a lead on Chalet.
Jacob, scary trolled. You said it wasn't that bad. It was that bad. You cannot be giving these players the ones like that. You can't walk up blue stairs in a 3v1 and toss your life away for nothing, because that's what's going to happen. You're facing Bay. This dude went main stage into Rio for a reason, eating up out there, and he continues to eat up against these T3 pros. Core Academy, a heartbreaking round from what looked like an unlosable position.
So, well, look, both teams so far have had one massive multi-kill to win a round thus far. If you take those out, it's still a 2-1 game, and we're still basically neck and neck at this point. You can get your hero plays in there. Team play for HAKIKIMORI it has been kind of questionable, if only because you're right. That last round to lose both shields as fast as they did and then not get any kills after they did their library clear, it looked like Core Academy had that sucker in the bag, dude. Like, if you know someone's playing in that top library position, you've got one shield that can pressure from that side. Scary comes around and then kills the Monty because you can keep on giving him a ping position and just say, hey, he's top of the stairs. So my W dies early, and then Blitz, Recited tries to come in to at least get the refrag on the shield and gets downed by the same player in that same spot. So coordination didn't work out. Just thank God you had Bay be the player to sub in and make sure you didn't lose that one.
I can't stand Scary, dude. What are we doing, bro? What's the idea here? What do you think?
Bro, it's been one round and you already think it's chalked. All right, man.
No, it's not so bad. I've just seen him prone under the window, and I'm curious what the idea here is. We'll see. HAKIKIMORI looking like they're starting their attack from about as far away from Scary's window as possible. Obviously, trembling in fear at the prospect of going to fight him, prone beneath the game's window there. And then some drones spot out the first of the players. Case on, shoot it out easily, and look to start to make his way back, play a bit closer to his teammates such that he doesn't give his life away for free. See the Legion brought along this time, an excellent counter for the shields we saw last time, and Recited over here, looking like he's about to hop right into them if he isn't careful. This could be dangerous as they go for this library-sided take, Jacob.
As soon as HAKIKIMORI do a better job of isolating some of these 1v1s earlier in the round, it's going to be a lot easier for them to just execute, period. That feels like something they haven't really done. Core have just been allowed to walk all over the map wherever they feel like for the most part. But if they can get an early frag, and I mean early, as in not within like 50 seconds to go in the round before they have to worry about the execute, then things will look a lot better. What all they're really concerned about right now is taking map control, making sure that there's no one hiding out in a weird spot and that they can rotate 2 long angles that maybe Core aren't expecting, but they're still just holding in default spots. Library's got players, Cross Sight's got players. There are 3 attackers now still coming over from Solar. They've got office control, and it's either going to be Kaysen or Adept as one of the first 2 players that they meet in this first engagement.
Still got the sense to be able to take across top blue here, which showed some success the last time, and then Lurk again, Vil. He's been so successful on these, catching another player once again. Sophie goes down, and he'll find a second. Oh no, just barely misses the headshot. Scary turns around, hits the headshot with the answer, and suddenly all the bodies are going the way of Core until they're not. Equalize. All of a sudden, Mike W pushing forward, him and Bay, last 2 alive, sends a few shots over towards top blue, but that player has opted to fall back. 48 seconds on the clock is not a ton of time to work with, but it might well be enough as they have managed to equalize. As things slow down, we move into a period of relative calm.
Man, like it could be a real X factor if he wants to go up library stairs and find a free one, but both of them sticking on site for the minute. Has gotten drone, so he'll try to hold a head glitch right around blue. And HAKIKIMORI, again, caught in a very similar position to last round. It's Mike W and Bay. If he's got another hero play in him, now's a great time to bring it out. But now there's a flank, but Mike W, does he know that there's one right on the stairs directly below him? He'll grab 1 kill. Scary gets the call like he has time to go back up. Mike W only takes a little bit of damage, but Bay's got the cross. And HAKIKIMORI, it's a nail biter, but they do get a 4-2 Chalet half.
Managed to get it over the line. I got worried there, Jacob. I cannot lie. When I saw those shots get whipped on Scary, flips around and just fries the Nook walking up main stairs there. My heart skipped a beat. Listen, I don't have any defibrillators nearby, but I was about to have to start calling for medical attention.
Brother, you're in France. I can't help you all the way over there. I don't speak your language.
It's over for me. Oh my god. Okay, maybe I was too hard on Scary earlier on. Listen, he hits his shots. He manages to close that one down, but it isn't enough for the round itself. Advantage now on the side of HAKIKIMORI as they move into their defensive half. Chalet, still a relatively even map in terms of win percentage for the attack and the defense. Neither side with a considerable advantage. So I do think most teams would agree that defending on Chalet kind of sucks.
It kind of depends on exactly where. I want to say the stat, at least from a pro play percentage, it still does have Chalet as a defensive-sided map, but only by a smidge. Like, we're talking like 51 to 52%. It's not very much if it's really anything. So the only thing that I can look at is the fact that Core Academy, the only time that they've lost Chalet over the span of the past couple weeks playing with this exact 5-stack was against Space Cubes 3 days ago, and it was a 7-5. That first half, Core Academy were playing on the attack. That was their better side. They only won 2 defenses, and that was enough for Space Cubes to basically trade them on the second half just long enough to win that map outright. So this is the same result the Core Academy had against Space Cubes when they were defending. So they need their attacking prowess, which is their better half across any map, regardless of where it is. They need that to be the thing that ultimately gets them over the finish line on Chalet here.
Mike W there. Missing a couple shots on the drone as it's sent in towards him. Thankfully, the player who's driving it gets off the drone, so just leaves it sitting right in front of him for an easy pickup once he reloads the mag of that SMG-11. He's not careful. Might run out of bullets before the XQ comes through, but as I say that, Core Academy looking like they're trying to get themselves set up for a solar take here. Denied the early entry. Oh!
What?
I say that. Kason just firing a couple of shots in towards Trophy for seemingly no reason. And manages to clip a headshot onto Mike W. Bit of a heartbreaking... Soapy? Soapy losing half his health.
Wow.
To a glue mine on the windowsill.
No, it took a second to register. I'm like, wait, what's happening with? Oh, it's a Legion mine. Oh, he's oh, yeah, it's just a weird conflagration of different ideas there. Be able to grab one.
Through, though.
Yeah. There's Soapy up top. Bay still trying to make a difference, and he'll just walk up Solar because Soapy is not looking at him. So he's got both. Now he can go up and maybe retake and stay upstairs if he feels like it. There's the Azami. Now for Vil. Just trying to block off angles, and he probably will, but Adept grabs the headshot, and that's a position he shouldn't win from, but he does. He's got the ACOG. It's good for 2. And suddenly it's all on Bay. He's already mopped up. He's got 13, make it 14, maybe 15 back to back. He's on for an ace, but it's him against the Wonder Kid, the 16-year-old that everyone hypes up. The console convert against the Pro League player. It's a 1v1 who wins on Solar Stairs, and it's the guy who went to Rio. That's 15. And Kason's probably wondering how the hell he didn't know he was crouched.
Can we check on PC? Like, are we sure that this dude's no DMA, no anything? Like, what are we doing, Bay?
It's fine.
What a guy. Look at him go. Ace on that round, shutting everyone down, making it look easy, sprinting up and down Solar over and over again, and collecting at least 1 kill every single time he made his way across that staircase. Absolute gutting performance out of him, and it looked like it was all Core the whole way there. Just a very badly timed moment as the case is attempted to be walked in towards site. Bay swings off the info, off the audio he hears, manages to drop that bomb diffuser, and that puts Core in a bit of a sticky situation, which they rush a little bit. Granted, they hold him, they give him the 1v1s, they could have done a little bit of a better job coordinating, but not by much. I mean, sometimes you're just getting put down, and Jacob, look at his scoreline. Bay, 16-1. Are you kidding me? That's unbelievable.
Look, man, he used to play in these trenches, and as soon as he gets the opportunity to come back, he's just reminding everybody why he's not in these trenches anymore. It's been a minute since he's played in a tier 3 capacity. He obviously knows what he's doing. And I did say he had 15 at the end of that call. It was 16. I flubbed it. I do apologize. That's on me. Also, Lecky, wake up, my dude. We're 1-7. What are we doing? What are we doing, brother?
1 away from James Bond numbers. Unfortunately, we can't drop a kill. We can't take it away. I mean, unless prod, maybe. But no. Opening things up towards site, though.
Only him.
Opening things up towards site, though. Scary is firing a couple of shots in, just trying to see if he can catch anyone off guard. Mike W gonna look to get aggressive towards the window, but the real take is going on over towards office here as Adept makes his way inside, shoots out a couple of Capcan traps, takes a little bit of the space. Starts to work over towards this top clear, which they'll use those Grimbees plus Firebolts to be able to push forward on momentarily. Now, a momentary calm, slowly work their way in, work their entry. Ooh, look at this position. Vil, upstairs in closet. I don't believe he's been droned, Jacob.
I think he's relying on not being droned right now. As soon as he were to get into a weird spot, he will have to move, but he's probably going to have to take an engagement and then play that with his life. And so has to back away a little bit. Lucky, no, we're 1-8. We're not off to a great start here, but Vil will grab that one, fall back. Bay gets one, Mike another. Suddenly Soapy and Adept had a little bit of a push, and suddenly it all falls to pieces, and we didn't even really know what happened, but everybody in those positions on defense can stay entrenched with where they're at right now. You can hold library, you can hold top fireplace stairs, you've got everything still here, and you just have to wait now at this point for Underagers to come to you. But unless Soapy and Adept have a really good 2-man play here to isolate some frags and start working inside, or maybe even get a plant down quickly. I mean, there's every B canister is still in the back pocket right now. for Darnelius. But they know they're going to have to play this quickly. And Adept, there were 2 Wonder Kids on this team. One was Adept and one was Kason. With about a minute left to go, we'll see if they've got another couple of those plays in their back pocket. Up, Kento comes up, grabs Darnelius, so now it's Adept. He'll need to do what Bay did in the last round if he wants to stave off match point here.
Much more difficult situation this time, though. No chaos to work with, and Kento's just going to walk up the staircase and put him down. Those Fenrir traps, getting some value in the late round, making it easy for him to pick up the Grim and drop in case, knowing he can play around it. That's match point now for HAKIKIMORI, and Jacob, I'll remind our audience, this game's got some stakes on it. If QOR do not manage to convert this map, they will guarantee that they cannot take second place in the standings, setting themselves up in that lower bracket playoff spot, and they will have to play through the play-ins to continue in this tournament.
It's still genuinely not the end of the world. It just means you have a best of 1 you have to play, and then a couple of potential best of 3s depending on what you lose and win in those first few rounds. If you were to get second place, you skip that whole part of it. You go directly to playoffs. You join guys like QOR who have already, like the main QOR team, who went 5-0 because of a forfeit. Freezer could not play their last match. And they have already bought themselves a bye. If you're the second round team, then you also get yourself a bye, just not as far as QOR would at this point in the XGS division. So for HAKIKIMORI, if they're able to close it out here, their prospects of getting that second place finish look really, really good. And ultimately, I would expect a team that has that kind of talent on it to be high up the standings that way. The only game they lost was against that QOR squad, who themselves are looking really, really good. But for QOR Academy, now that that's their name, this Underagers squad has definitely been performing up to expectations, but it would still be cool to see them get a winning record in their group before we go to playoffs.
I'd be happy for them to see them take it, get it over the line. Even if they do manage to just take the 2-1, like, you got to be happy for the boys, because they put in the work. They've definitely got a lot of talent on the roster, a lot of excitement around some of these players, Adept and Kason as well, as you were talking about earlier. More spawn peaks. They'll looking to try and find something, but the only thing he's greeted with are a couple of bullets rattling off towards the barricade he's sticking his face in. No damage exchange, though. The opposite. Back off, make his way back to site as start to clear out some of this util over towards kitchen side.
Well, Scary still the first one to die. He'll always find a way to be in those initial engagements, whether he's on attack or defense. So you lose your Thatcher.
It's death taxes and Scary's first picked.
You know what? I'm cool with that. Might as well put that on a t-shirt. Still a little bit of pot shots you can take. Ooh, wrong time to be sprinting, Vil. Adebs is going to win those, and now they do have Big Garage, as if they didn't before, but now they know that they've got hallway control, and there's no one top east immediately to force pressure in case someone comes that way. But they still have walls shut. So your options to try and get those open are now basically nil if you can't get the Twitch drone to do it, but shooting drones at this point should be basically second nature, so you can at least open Boiler Wall. That's where all 3 Selmas are going to go, just to make sure nobody can hide back in a corner. But that last Twitch drone does now get shot, which means you are not opening up the big garage angle. Nitro Cell, ooh, almost catches someone, but doesn't quite. But you are now keeping that wall shut, and I don't think they were able to do anything up against the opposite side garage, which means HAKIKIMORI can sit and defend Pillar and Blue without any worry about being shot in the back here.
A little bit more hard breach to work with, but you're absolutely right. Nothing they can really use to remove that Cade Claw. No grenades, no Thatcher. Scary going down here early. May well be heartbreak for them. But oh, what a shot. Resided managed to pick one up. The fights come through. Kason's in sight. Manages to find 2 for himself as well, but traded back by Mike W. towards back Pillar. Adept wasn't able to find the collect onto him. Just needs to wait for that player to potentially peek out if he wants to be able to pick him up. Knows that he's still in that spot, but also aware that he's currently being flanked. Tosses in the flashbang to be able to push into sight. The fight's coming through. The player inside of sight dropped. Adept taking him down, and now it's Kento locked out through the very entry point that his teammates had been holding the entire round thus far. QOR Academy, they keep themselves alive just a little bit longer.
Wow, shouldn't have won that. When you lose Thatcher that early and you can't open those angles, the best thing that they can do is then use the reason why they're a fun team to watch. Be aggressive, push hard and fast, do it even if there's a little bit of reckless abandon involved. That's why this team has been a fun one to look at the past couple of games. And HAKIKIMORI, just whether they're not ready for it or they're trying to hold too many positions and they're just not looking at the right direction at the right time, they really try to hold on to it with their bare hands. And something we don't talk about, again, they were 12-1 on Chalet. We knew that. But it's the fact that HAKIKIMORI were the team to pick into Chalet was what looked like an ego challenge when we came into this one. And I think QOR Academy can now showcase when they're on match point, when they know that they don't want to let another one of these slip. They don't want to lose Chalet twice in the span of 4 days. When they're able to get up in your face and play aggressive like that, that's when they're at their best, especially on the attacking side.
I'm just really impressed by the composure those two remaining attackers have at the end of that round. Adept, understanding that he was actively being flanked down West Main and knowing his only option is to push forward, tossing a flashbang at back pillar, lining out the one defender left on site, and just sending it in, knowing this is my only chance to stay alive. If I sit still, I will die. I'm going to use my utility, keep my composure, and play towards the win condition, the only realistic win condition inside that round. And it works out. It's not reckless. It's a phenomenal understanding in my mind of what they need to do to continue to push forward so that they don't just simply lose it right then and there. And I gotta say, really impressed by some of the plays I've seen out of Adept so far.
Problem is, HAKIKIMORI have bought themselves several match points, not just the one. Especially if you were to keep Bay alive, he's always going to find a way to make some late round impact too. So it's just.
I was going to say, you're saying it's HAKIKIMORI who's buying. I think it's just Bay, man. Like, I'm still not over this scoreline.
I mean, someone do the math and figure out if Bay has more kills combined than the rest of his team. I don't do mental math great, so I can't tell you, but it's probably close. So my W will hold the Solar. Capital Fire will try to burn him, but it only does briefly. He even gets scanned, he gets grimmed, he gets everything, and then dies to Flame. So he's again the first one on defense to take the hit. Lucky will finally... Hey, he found the scoreboard again. Good for him. I'll take down Recited. You've also still got plenty of this defense upstairs, which means Vil plus 2 SMGs top floor are going to be able to do something about it. That's a pistol kill too, and Kento grabs one big window. It's all turned around in a split second. And Soapy and Kaysen, now they have to retrieve a round that looked like it might have been going well, but they still haven't done enough clear quite yet, and they've still got half the round to work with.
Doesn't quite manage to get in fast enough to take down that Mozzie hiding towards Boiler. Soapy, just a little slow on the draw, working his way in to try and find that refrag for his teammate, and as Kaysen tries to get aggressive up Solar Stairs, he'll hit a goo mine, giving away his position. And look at this, HAKIKIMORI, understanding their win condition, knowing they don't need to give these boys anything, though dangerous. A peek, and Kaysen wins it! As I'm saying that, I curse them. Why'd I open my big stupid mouth? And Kaysen manages to equalize. Now, these last two defenders split Jacob. It's hard for them to play off each other. Low HP on Kaysen and low info on the side of the attack. This really could go either way.
One attacker and trophy, one's rotated back down to the window, which means you do have Fenrir, who has all of top control back to himself still. And the other defender is Vil. He was playing bottom west main, but he might have backed up a little bit. Whether he comes from that side or it goes up the opposite side staircase is yet to be seen, but you've still got Fenrir up in the closet. You can get red pings on these positions. If you have an idea of where the plant's coming in, oh, he absolutely does. You never cleared closet, and that's exactly where you need to get him. So now Kaysen, can the kid himself do it? 25 seconds and 2 kills to find, but like you mentioned, both HAKIKIMORI defenders are completely spread apart. There's not much you can do. Kento just waits for him to come around the doorway, and HAKIKIMORI wins Chalet. It looked like an ego challenge, but it was a very well-played one.
Great understanding out of them, knowing what they needed to win that game, looking like they had a very solid understanding of everything QOR were going to bring to the table. And that answers our question as to which team will be locked in for the second place, that lower bracket position, going into playoffs very soon. But we do still have some more maps to play here, Jacob. Some time left. We got at least one more. And on to our next map. See if QOR Academy can take the game overall, or if it'll just be a 2-0 for HAKIKIMORI.
I mean, if Mr. B can't play, at least Mr. Bay is in the lobby to just clean house for the entirety of a lobby. And you're not wrong. HAKIKIMORI now at this point have locked in second place. They don't have to worry about the play-in. That is now a fate that QOR Academy themselves have basically been relegated to. So they'll have to play through it. Again, not a huge deal. If this team wants more reps, we haven't seen them play beyond the qualifiers and right now as this exact 5 stacks. And the more time we get to see the underagers QOR do more things in tier 3, I'm totally happy with it, but I think they're not happy about losing Chalet 2 times in the span of like 4 days or something.
It's definitely a result that will hurt them. Like you said, is one of their favorite maps. It's a go-to for them. So bit of an ego check for them as they might have to reassess a little bit to do with their map pool. And some of these better teams, they'll just counter-strat you. If they have an understanding, if they've seen tape, they'll know how to take you down. But we'll see if they've got more answers, if HAKIKIMORI will be able to continue their dominance, or if QOR will wake up going into map 2 after this short break.
put you in the driver's seat. Don't go to
Well, 24 wins on Chalet over the past several weeks might look good on paper, but then when you meet a Pro League player in that lobby, I think it does a lot to remind you of your place, just a little bit. Core Academy were doing really good on Chalet, and then suddenly HAKIKIMORI opted for the super sub and Bay himself, and knocks out another notch on Chalet. Now they've lost it twice over the span of a week, and that wasn't even their own map pick, but it's still one of those cases where Core Academy might be a little bit disenfranchised now heading into their own map selection here.
A tough map for them for sure. A lot of rounds, really truly, Jacob, just looked like it came down to skill diff with Bay popping off. I think he had at least 2 clutch rounds that were essentially unlosable for Core, but ended up going the opposite way anyways. And yeah, at a certain point, I mean, when one of your opponents is on 17 or 18 kills, you're just not taking that map. There isn't too much you can do. We'll see if going into layer, they manage to cool them off a little bit, shut down Bay a bit more, work that team play, and work this map. Their map pick right here.
They're 4-1 on Lair with this same 5-stack, which includes both of the qualifiers to get into the finale, and then 2 times they've played it in the regular season thus far, but they're only 1-1 on Lair. They lost it to the other core team that they played just a couple of weeks ago, but then they beat Shubes on it in the same series where they lost on Chalet just a couple of days ago. But for Mori, they also haven't lost it recently. It's for Mr. B teams, it's one of those maps that you can put in the rotation every once in a while, and it usually will work. This year, they have yet to lose it, but they've only played it twice, so still a bit of a small sample size. And Core have also been really good about lair attacks, so both times they've played it, even if they're only 1-1 on it, it's been minimum 3 attacks on lair both times, which is overachieving, which is entirely the point, and that's still their better side overall for the finale regular season, last map notwithstanding. So if that's the side that they end up starting on, then we should get a wire-to-wire lair to figure out if they can still bring this series back.
Granted, I do think they won just as many attacking rounds on Chalet as they did defensive rounds, so maybe keeping the score lines close between the two sides. But yeah, you're saying that 3 attacking rounds on layer every time they played it. That's a phenomenal stat. That is, like you said, overachieving much more than you'd expect, especially on this newer map that's really big, hard to clear. It has a lot of options for spots for the defenders to play. Lots of tight corners, power positions, shotguns are super tough to clear out of some of these hallways. And yeah, impressive for Core as we head into this one. We'll see if they're able to continue those stats, continue to rack up rounds on the attack, as they will be starting on the attack, this time on layer, on their map pick.
See, I knew that they were probably looking at this ban phase and thinking, hey, it's a bunch of maps that we like back-to-back, at least for those first 2, because they love Chalet, they're all over layer for the most part. And then if they had to go to Border, they do have a winning record on it over the past couple weeks. But Border is also a HAKIKIMORI map, even if they did lose it in pretty bad fashion to the main Core roster just a couple of days ago. So if I'm going into the ban phase, I would have been pretty confident, but then HAKIKIMORI stormed through Chalet. Sorry, Bay storms through Chalet. And now
I like
the whole
the
complexion of the round has now been changed. I mean, yeah, to be fair. So Core Academy definitely have their hands full. But because they don't have bad attacks on this map in particular, I'm ultimately not super worried about it. So, are we really going into attack pause right before bans immediately? Yes, we are! Let's go! Just T3 things. Actually, maybe not. Production's giving me a couple different answers, so we'll see.
I've heard
do we or do we not?
different answers within the last
Andrew, I will flip a coin right now to decide if we leave this tech pause. I'll do it, and then we have to like just show the lobby with like nothing happening. Hang on.
That's.
I don't know if I have a coin. Never
And
mind.
would you look at that?
Let's go!
And we start to load in 2-layer HAKIKIMORI versus Core Academy. First man going the way of Core Academy, looking to take down one of these attackers. And I gotta say, my expectation here is Shields once again being taken down, though the Doke being the first one dropped off the board once again, same as last map. Seemingly an operator that this HAKIKIMORI side does not like to deal with.
I don't know, man. I'm okay with a Doke ban any other day of the week. The Monty ban is fine. Monty is still the most banned attacking operator on this map over the past several months. You're still leaving a Blitz up. You're still leaving up a Blackbeard, even if you don't have somebody who plays shields to a super proficient extent. There's enough long angles that you can have someone pop up from behind a shield to shoot somebody. There's enough really tight corners and spaces you can corner defenders into to just... What are they going to do against a shield when it's immediately in your face? And to only ban one of them feels like it probably is an issue, but again, Do could be banned given the way that she currently sits in the meta. Not really I don't have much of a problem with. Though, in the last map, we only saw double shields brought, I think, the one time. I think HAKIKIMORI did it. They had resighted and Mike W played double shields, and it basically did nothing because Bay was the reason they won the round in the first place. So maybe it's not something that either team is necessarily thinking they have to prioritize because maybe they don't run double shield, but it's just on a map like this, it's something you do need to keep in your back pocket.
If memory serves, you are absolutely correct. I think it was just the one round where we saw those double shields brought out. And the thing is, until we have the new ban system, if one team likes to bring along the shields, they can force at least 2 shields to be available, that being the Blackbeard and Monty, or some combination of whatever. Like, this map will have the Blitz and Monty as those 2 available, or sorry, apologies, the Blitz and Blackbeard as those 2 available options. There's nothing that Core Academy can really do other than choosing to ban out the Monty that they know Mike W is so fond of playing. Though, to be fair, lots of counters for the shields on this map in particular. You can toss goo mines on doorways, smoke grenades in hallways, lesion mines all over the place, Ela mines to be able to guard break, and Jacob, would you look at this lineup? It looks like they have some sort of idea there might be some shields being brought along.
Well, they had a shield up
Scary
for a sec, and then he swapped off. Right, I'm like, hey, there's probably some good tech for that. There's not good tech for getting headshot within the first 20 seconds. We decided, what are we doing, man? I don't even know where that was.
He tried running out the garage door, tried making his way out, but Soapy there with the answer as he repels up, shutting him down.
I mean, hey, if you at this point know that no matter what ends up happening for the rest of the series, you can't get knocked out of second place, then fine, I guess you can take risks, but it's one of those cases where you can keep that sort of utility a little closer to the chest. At least try to save the gun for the execute, but no, he decides it's not worth his time.
Go for broke, have some fun, playing the Legion. That is one of those operators with the rechargeable gadget that becomes more powerful as the round goes on. Early fast space here, down below with the Deimos pistol, trying to do some damage onto Bay, but Bay sprinting away, unable to find a thing, though Dardelius, Soapy elsewhere, does manage to shut down Mike W. As that Deimos track wears off, Bay will have managed to survive at least a little bit longer, and now knows that Deimos is down below looking to hunt.
Remember, this team is good at lair attacks. It's just a matter of how long it'll take before the rest of HAKIKIMORI get pinned into corners they can't get away from. And it's just a matter of how long Deimos himself is also about to... He's going to be doing isolated 1v1s for basically this whole... But he will slink back, though. We'll make sure that he has one player holding across for him. I mean, it just sticks in the corner of a wall that can't be shot unless you're below, and right now nobody on core is. Now it's already evaporated, so he's totally fine. Not a terrible rotate. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Working over towards that bathroom window, looking to toss out a smoke and hop in the window here. Hit a crunch on the players over towards server room. You can see a peek here, a little bit of a shoulder from Bay, but not quite exposing himself to that DMR. Could have taken a lot of damage there if he's not careful. Now going under the window, tossing in that smoke grenade, tossing in the grenades to clear out the barbed wire. Set this thing up. Looks like a really good read here by Core Academy as to how they want to approach this R6 side attack.
It's probably all going to have to be Fragfest now for HAKIKIMORI. They can't do anything else to deny util on site. Bay's already used the Toxic Babes. So Core Academy can just get in there and start crunching from all sides at the same time. But Vil swings, takes down Soapy. Kento's got his own swing, and it works. And then he gets another one back through the rotate, and you didn't even need Bay to get in the middle of that engagement. Capcan does both in quick succession, and Adept hasn't done anything in the round so far. The Sen's wall is already disintegrated. He doesn't have any more execute utility. All he's got is claymores. What are you going to do? Throw them at someone? They'll swing in, try to find one kill individually, and both remaining members of HAKIKIMORI are split, and that might be a problem. But who's the last guy up? It's Bay.WC, again, for a reason. And HAKIKIMORI will start on defense with a dub.
That's why he's in Pro League. That's why he's playing on main stages in Rio, Jacob. He can win those rounds even when his teammates are blatantly trolling, peeking the last player alive and just giving him ones. HAKIKIMORI managed to shut things down in surprising fashion for me because it looked like a great setup out of Core Academy, tossing in the Sense Wall to block off the lines of sight, looking to overwhelm the Capcan tucked in towards our 6 room. They just lose their fights. They don't manage to collect anything, and Adept left in a difficult 1v3, which he almost brings back, to be fair. He's just a little too good with that SMG-11, shutting him down at long distance and setting his team up at least one round.
It's not the first time so far this series. I think we've seen Mike W be the first person to die on the team, and then Bay comes back and saves it. Like, I just think...
Not the first, not the second, not the third, not the fourth.
Hey, hold on. I'm not saying Mike W is that bad. I'm just saying I've seen it at least once, and I might have 2 nickels now. If you get the joke,
If-
you've
if
heard the
you had
joke
a-
before.
If you had an, is this the Phineas and Ferb reference?
Dr. Doofin, you know what? If I say the whole name, Disney might copyright strike me, so I'm not about to.
Just
I'm
airstrike
not
onto your
touching
house.
the mouse. You can't pay me to touch the mouse. Yeah, that's not happening. Well, good opening. I think for HAKIKIMORI, they absolutely could have lost it if QOR were to swarm from multiple sides at the same time. Doesn't end up working that way. Bay saves it. And now we'll rotate a couple floors down. And that's another easy opening frag. This time it goes the opposite direction. Kaysen so far 0-2 on a map that he's historically very strong at. But if you're going to get a kill from the outside, at least this time it does go in the defense's way. And now Core Academy are going to be scrambling in what's effectively a 4v6 here. Good answer. Good for Lucky to get on the scoreboard early. And again, it's recited to be dead as Legion can't use recharging goo mines anymore. But here's the shield up that Scary was looking at for a brief second before he swapped to Deimos, and now here's where the top clear gets really, really scary for anybody else who's still up top, and that's exactly why she's offering to scamper downstairs. She doesn't want any of that smoke.
Aggressively taking this space upstairs is scary. Putting that Blackbeard to great effect. Bit dangerous facing these DMRs because one shot to your foot and you're down half your HP. Does manage to dodge it, at least for now. C4 tossed up, but it isn't going to find anyone as they start to work the vert. Scary. He will find one at the bottom of those stairs. Take it down, Bay. Round's over. Round is over, Jacob. That's it. That's your top frag. See if the rest of HAKIKIMORI can pick up the slack here.
I was literally saying the same thing. It's like, well, better hope everyone else can show up. But against a Blackbeard, you can hold long angles for only so long. You just know that he's bottom blue. But there's still one more player that can also swing from that side. That's exactly what Adapt tries to do, but Vill's got his number. Scary will grab Kento cross map where you still have this bottom blue engagement, but Mike W evens the odds himself. So you've got an SMG and a DMR trying to hold from long range, and down goes the Blackbeard. Vill does everything at blue stairs by himself. And now Lecky has to equalize. Definitely knows where their Rooney is, but it doesn't matter because Vill's got 4, and that's all she wrote for bottom floor.
This dude on those pixel angles with that DMR. Holy smokes, Jacob. Taking them all down, clicking heads like it's nobody's business. And he types in chat to let him know, my sons, yeah, they better be calling him daddy because he just put them all to sleep.
Good timing on the pixel angles. It felt like I wanted, as soon as Blackbeard came down, as soon as the recruit vaulted in the window, I'm like, you know what, that's perfect timing, but the problem is an Aruni can just swing back and forth from one angle to another with a DMR super quickly to a point where, hey, that seems like a good diversion, but ultimately it's just a striker wasting his life on a vault in. And there's really nothing that you could do. If there was a play for misdirection from Core Academy, HAKIKIMORI was absolutely not having it, and Vill especially just decided, I'm holding on to blue, and there's nothing that the rest of this team can do anything about. So 2 straight defensive rounds. There will now need to be a really fast, effective top floor clear in order for Core Academy to have a real chance at winning this one, but HAKIKIMORI have held on to these defensive positions with their lives, and they've not cared how much pressure they faced so far while doing it through the first 2 rounds of Lair. So it's going to be a tough nut to crack.
Although both these first 2 rounds, Core Academy have had themselves in what, in my mind, was a favorable position going into their XQ. And then just kind of got a bit ahead of themselves, maybe rushed things as they went to toss in that utility to clear out final positions. And I want to see them try and slow things down a little bit as they work in towards site. Because so far their setups have looked great. Their entries are fast, confident, they're taking the space, they're keeping themselves alive, they're putting players in the right spot, but then they're just not quite managing to get it over the line. So, signs of life so far, and looking like they might have some sort of aggressive set play here with Lecky on that Blackbeard right outside Ops. Like he's getting ready to send it all in, blitz his way across the top floor using that Blackbeard.
Probably not a bad idea to put Lecky on the Blackbeard. Put the guy who hasn't had a phenomenal performance this series on the shield op isn't a terrible move, just on principle. But everybody on defense was spread out pretty considerably, but now Core Academy working over from that side. Trying to see if they can't force anybody out. It's a whole bunch of 1v1s, but HAKIKIMORI really don't care. It's still the DMR going to work. And he'll hold on to display. Looking to server, waiting for someone else to come in that direction, but ooh, maybe his arm gets spotted a little bit. He'll work back into a different position, and now Mike W, and ooh, Lucky with 2! That's back-to-back from a great spot, and now it means the rest of the roam doesn't have any more support. That's Vill finally falling. Recited will grab an answer, but you're still having to deal with a shield op, but it doesn't matter, because Recited's got the shot anyway! 2 guns to 2, minute and a half left. The top clear was what I was hoping that Core Academy would do a lot better at, and they finally do have an answer, because Kaysen is the X factor up the stairs. No one had any idea he was at the top of the pixel. And that's both roamers dead. That's their first round on Lair.
Another messy round in the mid round for Core Academy. They give themselves the advantage. They do the same thing, Jacob. They get themselves in. They get themselves the advantage. The position looks dominant. And then the bodies start dropping. They keep fighting when they don't need to. They don't stop for a second to collect. And they are bailed out. We do see Kaysen managing to work his way up those green stairs and saving the round for his team. But again, scary, dangerous. And it looked like HAKIKIMORI had saved yet another round for themselves that they just had no business winning. It was almost going to be 3 in a row.
Finally had one answer. Again, both times they've played on Lair attacking halves, they've at least gotten 3. So plenty of time to make good on those previous counts and have a decent idea for what you need to do and lock in a Lair defense. But again, Core Academy are 1-1 on this map in the finale regular season, but HAKIKIMORI have yet to play it in the finale proper. It's just been the various Mr. B lineups, even if he's not here. The lineups he's played with are 2-0 on this map over the course of 2025 so far. Especially when you get defense first, you can do some risky things. You can lock in. Kento wants to make sure that he opens up quickly. Down falls Twitch. He's not playing the Blackbeard this time. The Scary can at least use it later on in the round. It's a good utility when they worry about their execute, but still, to lose a Twitch that early, what would he have countered?
Nothing
Probably
in
mostly
particular,
Capcan, I think.
Yeah, nothing in particular jumping out to me in this lineup. The goo mines and the bulletproof cams are the only things that you're really using the Twitch for here, and frankly, you've got enough nades to be able to deal with those anyway.
Right.
So not the end of the world by any means. That's a gun down. That's your lucky down. The Capcan traps are gonna hit. Scary trying to work in. Player spotted at the bottom of the staircase and Resided will take a bit of damage as he chooses to sprint away. That is 2 Capcan traps burned for just a little bit of HP. Better Scary than anyone else as they do start to make their way up this hallway.
Was maybe wonder where he put the rest of them in case there end up being 2 or 3 people coming through one doorway at the same time. Did it get trapped? Yes, round over, so you don't want that eventuality. Mike will take a little bit more from 1 HP trade. Resided does get downed. Probably in the midst of that. Ooh, tried to come up and flank the Blackbeard, and I think Scary's let him know about it a little bit. But Adept's got his flank. A top floor control. Still occupied by Mori, and Core Academy still trying to clear it. Just waiting for an opportunity to make a big swing, and Bay is going to win that fight 10 times out of 10 against teams like this. Suddenly you don't have Soapy to work with. You do have both a Grim and a Blackbeard, but now he's already retreated back up inside server. He's not in a position where he will get flushed unless you've got the util for it. You can use Grim to try and do it. No, he's back in the hallway. He's playing fast and loose with the law, waiting for his opportunity. Shotgun out, gets the Blackbeard. Does he have 2? He does, and he might have 1 more. Whip the SMG back out, but it's Kento's SMG that will put the rest of the work in. And HAKIKIMORI feel like they're just laying it on now.
The smoke in that hallway so damn hard to clear, and when you've got a player like Bay sitting behind that shotgun, those smoke grenades, that SMG-11, doesn't feel like there's too much you can do. Taking down everybody as they start to push towards that position. 1v4ing it felt like for a moment there. He drops pretty much the entirety of the core attack on his own. The aggressive swings with the shotgun out, unafraid to be able to engage the players, take that space.
This might just be me talking. I think being able to swing a corner with a shotgun and find 1 kill and then another one, like another attacker immediately behind him, that might be the most satisfying play in Siege, like, ever. Like, the 2 best moments, you get the double pump or even a triple pump around a corner. The only other feeling that compares to that is getting your drone away on attack during the prep phase without it getting shot when you know it's being pursued. Those are the 2 like most adrenaline pumping moments in Siege as far as I'm concerned. Both of them just rule.
10 seconds left.
I spent a lot of time as my team's smoke player, so I know the feeling, I will say. Have my,
so you're
my
well
fair
versed in
share
that,
of,
yeah.
of pump clips. Yeah.
Homie plays
I don't
smoke
know.
just to get the pump high.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just give me the corner so I can just one pump them as they push up a hallway. Gosh,
That's where you live,
it makes it
man.
look easy.
Yeah.
Gonna have to pull up the masterclass, get him to put together a little show to teach us plebeians how exactly to do it.
Why
Play
not?
them Lucy this time.
Give me the Pojo Man Mossberg masterclass. I'll take that.
Or the Kino from
Or the
30
Kino
feet
one.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. This time, no Mossberg for him. Only that ITA shotgun? Is it that Malusi has now? Dill. That's the opener, though. Traded back by Ulecki. Another 1-for-1, but look at those bodies. Look at who you traded. Blackbeard for the Aruni. The value calculation in terms of these two operators, Jacob, is a massive. Blackbeard, so important as the spearhead for your push. Aruni, all that util's already down, and while Vil has been your top flight frag so far, losing him, losing at the end of the day what isn't that consequential of an operator come late round, that is something you take 10 times out of 10 if you are HAKIKIMORI.
I mean, it's more that Vil was the primary reason they were able to stop Blue, but he was also stopping Blue against a Blackbeard, so the entire complexion of this defense is going to look a lot different because you have both ops now out for round 5. Got Ram working over top floor control. You still got plenty of defensive long angles to hold, and ultimately you're probably not going to clear Mike W out of this position. And you can hold on to stock and just wait for someone to aggress onto B site. Still no one has quite yet. Still plenty of time to do this clear. No one else for HAKIKIMORI has done the late flank up staircase quite yet. Whether Core have stair control or not, that's just not something that HAKIKIMORI are going to give them. An easy pick, potentially. We'll just keep on burning some util from top floor. Again, this is Core Academy's overall strength. Recited to Mike W. Just making sure that there's no one on the outside. Yeah, I was about to be like, is there someone there? No, they're just playing the two-man game in case somebody actually was there. But
it's a beautiful little play. Just trying to get aggressive on that doorway so they can take the fight on anybody who might happen to peek there. And oh, look at this. Kento's up on the top floor too. A little bit of a sneaky spot he's found himself in. And while he doesn't catch anyone, as they make their way across the bottom of that staircase, some engagements come through. And those gunshots, they're going to mask the sound of his flank. He's making his way down the staircase. He's about to work his way in. Inside of Armory now, shooting Soapy in the back, taking him down, and the fight's going down towards site. And shot missed on the zombie barricade. That Kiba in the middle of the room, causing so many problems for this attack. And here comes the lurk over towards storage, but the bodies have been dropped elsewhere. Adept and Kason are the only two left alive. They need to go for broke here, and these Goyo canisters are going to be nightmares to push through, especially with such little time on the clock. This leaves just Kason, the only real hope inside this round. And facing off against those Kiba barriers with little health to his name, needing to plant that diffuser, there is nothing he's going to be able to find as Adept, sitting, watching the fire burn, watching his teammates drop, is forced to simply sit here and do nothing.
Couple more shots right in, but HAKIKIMORI lock it down. So not any potential left for Core Academy to get an even attacking half. And it just looks like HAKIKIMORI are pouring on, just more gasoline on the fire. And every time it looked like, hey, maybe they have an angle of ingress, maybe there's an avenue they can take to move in quickly. Suddenly there's an Aruni gate, and there's a Goyo popped, and then there's an Ace on 2 HP who can't plant a diffuser. There's just problem after problem that even if it looked like Core were doing good utility clear after they'd gotten top floor control, it was just too many things to deal with, and then Kento had to flank that probably would have ended up winning the round in the event that Core had the ability to execute and maybe got a couple of free kills on site in the first place. Just too many things that they had to worry about. HAKIKIMORI now at this point up 4-1. I'll say it now, if Core Academy can't win this round, it's probably series over for HAKIKIMORI, because at this level of play, I don't anticipate 5-1 halves being the sorts of things that you can really recover from. Once one map has already begun to spiral out of control to that extent, at this level of play, it's probably just going to keep on spiraling. So if Core don't win this round, it's probably over.
It's hard to get yourself back into it, especially once the mental factor starts to come into play. You're down, and it seems like everything you try just doesn't work for one reason or another. With such a dominant scoreline here, and frankly not that much to really play for on the side of Core at this point, knowing that they don't have any opportunity to qualify for that playoff spot, or the guaranteed playoff spot, not having to go through play-ins. Going through play-ins anyways, and it's just a matter of seeding whether they get third or fourth. They might be finding themselves a little bit checked out as these rounds continue to slip away from them.
Still have the ability to bring it back. It's been map control and it's been kill isolation, but it feels like HAKIKIMORI. I mean, this time, everybody's alive in the first 30 seconds. Voila, we're making progress.
A shocker. Who'd have thought?
That's nuts. Even if it was like, hey, Mike W makes that initial really bad play. No!
Jacob.
Oh,
Jacob.
Soapy. Oh,
Jacob,
why did he do that?
Open your mouth, Jacob. No.
And now they're both gone through the same doorway. Well, it wasn't in the first 30 seconds, but it was the first 50. That's a double kill. Practically, I mean, Ella will basically take both kills with the Scorpion, even if one was an R4C to the face. The 2 minutes left. Kason and Adept. Well, just Adept. Well, no, it's actually both of them now at this point. Two guys who I've seen hyped up to no end. Can they bring this back throwing utility and strategy to the wind. It's all about frags, and that's what it's going to come down to. Kaysen will open up on Vil. There's still 3 players left to find, but you've now unleashed. These guys both know all they can do is go for broke and hope that kills come to them. And that's exactly what they're going to fight for this next minute and a half.
Four comes out, blowing Case on sky high, landing at his feet, no time to react, and suddenly it's just Adept left. Gonna try and get aggressive, find a fight, will find the first, but this double swing comes through, Resided, pushing forward, looking to work off of his teammate, swinging the top of those staircases, taking down the last remaining attacker, and we will see a 5-1 defensive half on the side of HAKIKIMORI.
Dude, I feel like at pro play, if you were to make a mistake like that, it's probably recoverable because mental is higher, skill level is higher. There's probably a chance that on attack, if you do that TK and then lose 2 players in the same room, you maybe have a chance to bring it back. I just don't think in tier 3 that these guys are really able to make anything of it. Like, you know that moment when the round is basically over, but you still have to play out another like 2 minutes of dead air before it finally ends. That's that moment. As both of them enter through the same doorway and die within 2 seconds of one another, and one of them is self-imposed. Just moments you know you can't recover from. So HAKIKIMORI at this point, grab a couple. I mean, really only you need is like 1 super solid execute and then maybe somebody popping off on a hero play. You can do the bare minimum effort now in half 2 because in half 1 you did more than your fair share.
Only 2 rounds needed for HAKIKIMORI to be able to convert. And while this map is technically defensive favored, it's not massively overwhelmingly so. It should not be impossible for them to be able to convert at least 2 of these attacking rounds. They'll start it off, attacking this R6 room site, bringing along a very execute-focused lineup. Grim, the Blackbeard, and the Sense. All 3 operators that they can use to push into site and make it almost impossible for Core to do anything.
I think there's times like this it makes me wonder if Dokubi was still up. Would that have been enough intel for Core Academy to use to clear out some of these bad spots on the first half? But it's a question that's ultimately mute. Only 1 shield being brought from HAKIKIMORI, but it's the Grim to open up the frags. It's also the smoke, so you only have 1 Nitro Cell up for area denial, but it's just kills piling on. How are these guys exposing themselves to angles this quickly? We might never know, but now Ace has control. He can work over mezzanine and probably even pop right into side and plant himself immediately because he knows that there are players right next to him and he'll just do all the work by himself. He's in sight. Can he grab Soapy and make it 4? He basically will. He does. And HAKIKIMORI get match point in a flash.
Like a Terminator across the top floor, Resided simply walks in and picks up all 4 remaining defenders, one by one, dropping their bodies, finding absolutely nothing in return. I don't even think he took any damage, Jacob. And that is a dominant start to the attacking half for HAKIKIMORI, needing 1 more to put it over the line.
This is one of those moments when I know it's a team of primarily underagers. I know that there's a lot of talent here and people will hype them up for being console converts and having fan bases and all that. The one thing I'll say, if this match is essentially over, experiences like this are going to be huge learning moments, especially when you get to see the skill gap between yourself and guys who have been playing at this level in 18+ tournaments for a long time, especially considering Bay's experience. So you have to take this as a learning moment and understand this is just the skill level you're playing against, and there are things that if you're serious about competing later down the road, you have to take these moments on the chin, take your medicine, and just keep on going because it's not the end of the world. It's just times like this. Even if you convince yourself you don't care, if you actually do put in the work and the effort, eventually there will come a point where you can play on a level like this. It's just, you got to take your meds now because it's a tough pill to swallow, but ultimately it will make you better on down the road.
And there's obviously a lot of excitement for this Core of Academy roster. It's like you're saying, they're popular players, and they've been making waves for themselves, starting to make names and really come up through the community. And these guys, I mean, while they're not necessarily new to the scene, they're new to playing at this level, and there's no shame in going down against a very good team, some very experienced players. They'll have to continue to try. A couple more rounds possible to be played here. They're going to need to be flawless if they want to work this comeback. Yeah. Set up some Goyo canisters to slow down this initial push to prevent Resided from being inside sight within the first minute again. Toss out some fire and slow them down, and as they're forced to actually coordinate and work together to get inside the map this time around.
But slow steps are still steps. So whatever
He's
they can
proning
get,
in.
they'll take. And wants to get a prone, but no, it's the Blackbeard to be the first one in. We'll take a little bit of the residual damage and a little force Soapy to come back up and might W. Oh, he will still trade back. Scary's got him, holding on to storage, but Blackbeard can just get someone else to come up right behind him, even if it's not an intel operator, and try to force out the closet pressure. But it's Kento this time on a flank trying to make something work, but he's felled by Kaysen. Will pop Goyo and make sure that Recited can't just walk in the same way that he did before. But he absolutely thinks he's got an angle on somebody. No matter of whether he can get into a spot where he's able to plant effectively. He's got 1 to 2 more walls he has to get through, and then Bay and Vil need to force pressure from a different angle, and that's exactly what Vil does. He'll take down Soapy. He's already in sight. He'll just hold an angle because now the rest of the defense cannot retreat back to that position. It's already been taken over, so they have to get off-site kills before they move in. Kaysen gets the flick. That's a great one. So now Recited and Diffuser's been down. Kaysen is basically, he has full control of it. He is the Guardian, and it should be going in the opposite direction because Vil and Bay now have site control, but now QOR can rotate back, and they probably still have some control here.
Vault up, though, does manage to take down Scary. Lucky, though, with the answer. Vil, last alive, low HP, lots of time, but he doesn't really know where these last couple of defenders are, and he does not have case control. He's gonna have to try and isolate, try and find these players, but on such low HP, he has to be perfect. Finds the first. Takes down Kason. Suddenly, next thing you know, it's just Lucky, last alive. He's not had the best game so far, and he will be shut down. Vil has been unbelievable today, and he makes it look easy, winning a 1 HP, 1v2 to send it over the line. HAKIKIMORI take Lair, they take Chalet, and they take this whole match 2-1.
Oh, I don't mean to pile on, but the last guy alive to take a 1v1 against a guy like Vil who's hot all map and it's Lecky, I'm sorry, brother, that's just not a fight that you're winning. He'll end with 12 kills, Kento immediately behind him on that one. That is a very fast 2-0 series victory for HAKIKIMORI. They are now locked into second place in the XGS division, which means they skip the play-ins entirely. For Core Academy, they will finish with a 2-3 record in the same division. They will have to go to play-ins in order to make playoffs. The future is bright, but against some very tough competition, it simply wasn't meant to be today.
Dominant. I mean, what else is there to say? HAKIKIMORI just made it look easy. Even without their IGL, they bring on Bay, to be fair, who is an experienced player and knows how to play the game. He's played with a lot of these players before and knows some of their tendencies. So no surprise that he's slotted in relatively well. I don't think anyone was expecting the numbers to be this staggering on the side of HAKIKIMORI. Such a strong performance out of them. And they look good heading into the playoffs, our next stage of this tournament.
So Mr. B really was like, you know what? Who can I hit up real quick in the event that I can't play this one? Ah, Bay. You know what? Perfect. And when you come into sub for a team, I think one of the worst feelings is if you were to lose that game, it feels like the confidence that was placed in you to clean up in that matchup just ended up being misplaced. Not the case here. Obviously, playing with Bay is overkill. He's overpowered for situations like this, even though these used to be the environments that he was in all the time. For Core Academy, it's just not the sort of thing that they were prepared for on a skill level basis, not even necessarily from a strategic point of view. It's just the fact that he was that good and dominated Chalet play after play, a map that they themselves were super comfortable with earlier. But then Lair never really felt like it had the chance to get going at all. From the very beginning, it's like, hey, one round, maybe a 2-1 to start off with doesn't seem like it's too bad, and then it's just pound for pound, and HAKIKIMORI showing exactly why they're one of the best teams. Not just in the finale, but why they've got some of the best top talent from a tier 2 level in North America at the minute.
They're definitely favorites for a lot of these T2 leagues, T2 leagues going into the year.
Come on, get the words out.
It's all good. I'll figure it out eventually. English, hard language, all right? But obviously putting on a hell of a performance there, showing us why they are some of those favorites. And they'll continue, like I said, later on in this tournament. But we do have some more matches for you guys today. Our next game, I believe, Space Shoobs versus Soar, coming up relatively shortly.
So we're finishing up the entirety of the XGS division today. We've already done the first game. There's going to be CLB against Karn & Co. and then Turtle Tactics and Outlast. Those are going to be happening on the TPL stream throughout the course of the day. And we do still have one more game coming up, like Hyber mentioned, but that's not our responsibility. That's Kingfisher and Painless. They're going to be taking you through that one. Dude, thank you very much for joining me on this one. It was fun to do. I think for some reason we've only ever talked on Twitter over the past couple of months, so good to jump on with you and do this one, brother.
Absolutely. It was a blast. Thanks so much for having me. It was a great first time casting with you, and I look forward to doing it even more.
All right, we're going to get out of here so that we can prep for that one. Thanks a lot for joining us. A couple of us will still be back for more casts as the rest of the finale progresses through play-ins and playoffs. But for right now, we're all done. It's Kingfisher and Painless to take you through the rest of the day. So we'll see you then.